nachos. Aegis Infinite Silence. Angry Space Heroes. Hold the Boys.
We are live.
Oh, hello there. My name's Hyper Turtle, and I am commissioner of a team league called the FSL, the Fun Star League, and we are back in action today. We are going to be featuring the teams of Pull the Boys versus Rage's Raiders. This is going to be a pretty interesting one. Pull the Boys only just recently got their first loss. Rage's Raiders just recently got their first win, but don't underestimate them because everything has been close. Yep, you can check out the standings on our special website, as well as player rankings based on votes from teammates and you, the viewer. So, yeah, just a lot of fun stuff going on. If you haven't yet, go check out Archon Games' new miniatures. I think there's a limited edition Zeratul that they've been promoting heavily for full-on FOMO. As for me, I've been taking a big deep dive on ladder, but in real life things are okay, and I'm going to be taking my daughter to see Gabby's Dollhouse the movie. So wish me luck there. It's going to be a madhouse. Anyway, I'm going to bring in our players right now. We're going to be starting with Code S, our high-level players, Little Reaper versus Adastra. Hello, Little Reaper. Hello, Adastra.
Hello.
And I forget, am I saying your name right? It's just Adastra? Or
Yeah,
is
that's right.
Okay, I
Just
will
a
go
desert.
with it. Alright, Little
Sounds good.
Reaper. Little Reaper, am I saying your name right, despite the fact that you've grown a lot and you don't play Terran?
Yeah.
Okay, glad to hear it. Alright, look out for this kid, because, yeah, he started out at my level, but he has worked his way up. He's been representing Kodas and causing a lot of pain. Adastra, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm alright, and you?
Oh, well, I was just telling the viewers, but yeah, life is good. I'm going to be taking my daughter to see Gabby's Dollhouse the movie later
Yeah, I can
today,
hear.
so this is going to be a very busy, busy day. There's cleaning to do too, so... But
That
I don't
sounds
want to
good.
repeat myself too many times. I think I will bring that up every single interview, though. Alright, Little Reaper, yeah, there you are in game. Let me make sure everyone's in there, and KJ, let's get you into the lobby too.
Yeah, hang tight. There's a sound issue on my end. Give me a
Have you had
second.
a chance to play much since the patch? Or patches?
You're
I guess they
muted.
did a hotfix pretty quickly too.
I've played a couple of games, but
Alright.
yeah, not too many.
In Discord.
Okay, but you know what to expect. Alright, so we're just waiting for KJ to join the group. He's going to be doing our production.
Yeah, give me a second. There's an issue with the sound.
No problem at all.
You guys can
Alright.
do interviews or such.
Yeah, definitely can. And then, yeah, one thing I was going to mention, Neutrophil is he's the team captain, but he is not available today. He is doing some very heavy sciencey things. I guess physics. So he is at some sort of big panel for that. Adastra, Little Reaper, anything you wanted to just mention on what you've been up to recently?
Well, myself, I've just been working a lot.
Uh,
Um,
I know the feeling.
yeah, nothing too exciting. I tried to play, but I've got some like ladder anxiety because I'm just worried of losing MMO.
Yeah, I jump around between races, so I just go with whichever race has the lowest MMR. And let me tell you, I've been able to really tank my random over the last couple days. I don't know
That's
what the
pretty cool.
problem's been. Well, you know, I mean, supposedly, eventually, I'll get down to the point where I'll, be matched against people that I'll beat. But yeah, I don't know. Little Reaper, Adastra, how much do either of you know about Gabby's Dollhouse on Netflix?
I don't know anything about it.
Nothing. Okay. Yeah, it's this girl who puts on cat ears and shrinks down into her dollhouse, and there's a bunch of computer animated cats in different rooms, and I think each room kind of represents different kinds of like arts and crafts activities and things. So it's something I can appreciate from what it's trying to do. I do not think I'm in the target audience, but that's the way it goes. School's been moving along. My
It's
daughter is
still gonna be
now in
fun.
3rd grade.
Spending
Well,
some time with your daughter. I mean, it's
oh yeah,
always nice.
well, we're bringing a friend of hers. It was interesting because when school was out, we really didn't see a lot of her friends during the summer because they were all traveling somewhere or someone was visiting them. Now that school started, and I see the same thing with StarCraft too. It was really hard to get in touch with a lot of people during the summer just because they were traveling or having guests. What is this? This is the Fun Star League. So this is basically an amateur team league. Each team has players of a few different levels. We're getting ready for our Code S, which is our high level players. And each matchup will be 2 people trying to get 1 or 2 points for their team. And then everything will it'll be a total of basically first group to get to 5 wins. And if they're tied 4 versus 4 towards the end, then we're going to have ourselves an ace match. And yeah, we're just killing a little bit of time right now because we're trying to get the audio, a couple other things ready to go. But first map is going to be on Incorporeal. It isn't... Yep, here we go. It is interesting because I believe we are going to be having new maps in every mode very soon. 1v1, 2v2, so on. The Team Liquid map contest is just wrapping up. Okay, there we go. I think we are ready to rock right now. Alright, 2 diamond players ready to go at it. This is going to be TVP. Alright, any last words?
No, just good luck to Little Reaper.
Alrighty. Okay, everyone says they are ready to go, so we're going to get straight into it. Dastra, by the way, is playing all the way in South Africa. Little Reaper, well, he's American. His whole family plays a lot of StarCraft. Speaking of which, in the lower left, we have our pink Protoss player. He is
Little Reaper.
And he is playing for the team of
Told the boys.
his opponent, the Protoss. In the orange, we call him
Ad Astra.
and he will fight for the team.
Rages Raiders.
Alright, so my mistake. They are both going Protoss, so we are going to go into some serious clowning here. I always like to point out, Little Reaper, very aggressive on his first attack. A lot of it's going to come down to how that first engagement goes here. Both them checking out each other's bases, neither have expanded just yet. Alright, big difference here. Little Reaper is going with the Cybernetics Core first. Adastra getting 2 gateways down to begin with. And Little Reaper... Oh. Yeah, Adastra kind of doing what he can to make it a little bit more difficult to expand. Little Reaper, meanwhile, just kind of patrolling around the entrance of his opponent's base. Both of them want to look for any clue they can for what's going to come up. So far, I'd say this is pretty standard, aside from Little Reaper only going with 1 gateway. Is the YouTube cast going, KJ? Usually we do a simulcast. And Adastra still making sure that his probe is in the way of any potential nexus. He does not drop a pylon or anything. Nexus goes down successfully. Meanwhile, Adastra is getting some early units out. Sentry on there, and Adastra still has not taken his expansion. And Little Reaper's probe, he doesn't leave it unattended. He is sending it on its way. And I believe Adastra is going to be going for, well, at least he's hoping for some early offense. But that proxy pylon has already been detected, and if you give it enough time, even an adept can take down a pylon. Warp Gate is not completed yet, or I don't think Warp Gate... Yeah, Warp Gate is pretty far along for both, but not completed for either. One glaive after another. This Stalker should be able to hurry things along a little bit. And the Adept is moving out. Adastra, knowing that his opponent now knows about his intention of aggression, he is going ahead and taking his expansion, probably going for a longer match instead, because his Forge and his Twilight Council are nearing completion. Little Reaper, meanwhile, going straight into research in charge. Adastra actually briefly supply blocked after losing that proxy pylon. Adastra also has some idle workers here, so he is getting them moving again. All the meantime, just scouting his opponent's base with Hallucinated Phoenix. Little Reaper doing similar. He is getting his forge down. Both are research in charge now. Adastra getting into +1 weapons and adding some gateways. So both of them making their preparations. Aside from some heavy-duty pylon-killing action, we are not seeing much in the way of engagement. There we go. Little Reaper is planning for a Dark Shrine. Robotics facility is going down, so I think he is going to try for an offensive warp in, and then split his Dark Templar up between the bases. And there he is, doing what he can to make sure his opponent knows as little as possible. Right now, Adastra is not aware of that Dark Shrine. And he is actually taking a third. So very much a change from what I believe he was already intending. Charge just about complete for Adastra. And there's that robotics facility. I'm expecting a warp prism very shortly. Little Reaper does have an adapt that's just kind of hanging out there, seeing what happens. Both of them going for some similar things, but in a little bit of a different way. +1 attack, about to complete for both, and they are both on their way to taking the third. Very interesting, because Little Reaper definitely took his natural expansion well before his opponent, but Adastra's Nexus is just about to complete at the third, and here come the Dark Templar. They are going to be taking the long walk. I was incorrect about any warp prism coming out. Now, Adastra does not have any cannons or observers down yet. In fact, the robotics facility is only a little bit past 3/4 done. He does not have an oracle either, so this could cause a lot of trouble. One Dark Templar moving into each mineral line. Adastra notices in the natural. I don't think he's picked up on the one that's in the main just yet. Observer is on the way, but more and more probes going down. We are up to 14 workers lost right now. Those guys in the capes doing immense damage. Little Reaper currently 7 workers ahead. The Observer is out, but that's still a slow Observer. And it can only be in one place at a time. Little Reaper is choosing not to move further along. I think he was seeing how that went, seeing if he could maybe move the rest of his army in. I think right now he's just rallying them together. That's actually a pretty significant force. He does have the Warp Prism about halfway done. Cannons are going down in several spots for Adastra. He wants to make sure he does not lose any more workers. Currently, Little Reaper, just 7 workers ahead. Not terrible. Oh, wow. And there we go. Even with that Observer, 2 more workers lost. And he does not want to fall further behind. Right now, army supply, Little Reaper has about a 5 supply advantage, and probably a little bit stronger tech, too. There we go. He is going to see what kind of further chaos he can create. Likely warping in right around his opponent's mineral line, while hitting the front, possibly. And it is going to be Zealots. One thing Adastra is well ahead on is warp gates. Now, he doesn't have as much in the bank as his opponent, but he can potentially get those reinforcements in quite a bit more quickly. Reaper taking a 4th now, so he is not really overly committing on these engagements. Here we go. Send some Zealots in to keep that expansion from completing, and then immediately moving the Warp Prism to the main as he attempts to draw forces over to that location. And it looks like that is accomplishing its goal. However, he is not going to be warping in the main. +2 weapons just about to complete for Little Reaper. Adastra is currently at +1/+1 with his +2 attacks. A little ways into research, and here we go. Bunch of zealots coming straight into the natural mineral line. There's a cannon and a battery there. So far, no casualties. Oh, that cannon is about to go down. That battery is pretty much out of juice. He might be able to restore it, I believe. But there's not much to protect there. Alright, here we go. Now going after the third. Little Reaper being a non-stop nuisance here. Currently, Little Reaper's army supply advantage continuing to grow. Adastra is warping more zealots in, but they are dying very quickly. And I think this is the point where it could snowball, although Adastra... Okay, actually, sorry, I completely misspoke. Adastra is actually way ahead in supply. Those zealots continuing to come in, but Adastra has an 82 supply army versus 44 for Little Reaper, and some of that army is actually in the natural. More warp-ins going down for both. +2 weapons just about to complete for Adastra. He is looking to come in for revenge right now. Only 12 army supply left for Little Reaper. And there is currently, yeah, just a couple of Dark Templar being produced. They are helping quite a bit, though. But those... That one Dark Templar pretty much has to eliminate a whole army before that army eliminates his base. That is 40 workers. The scales have truly switched up right here, with Adastra in a very comfortable spot, and Little Reaper only 22 workers, and only... Yep, we have the GG. Adastra comes back and takes this after some very rough harassment that he was suffering. And so what that does is that gives 1 point to Rage's Raiders. Adastra's team. Next map will be Meganatha. Alright, entering lobby now. We are ready to go. Now remember, these players are getting points for their team. First team to 5 wins takes the whole thing, so things even out. Again, these are our higher skilled players. Usually, Pull the Boys has one of Little Reaper's older brothers playing Code S, but he has been no slouch, stepping in. Alright, Little Reaper's ready. Okay, we are indeed ready to go. I love the name Meganatha. Googling it, and I do not know what it means. YouTube link broke. Okay, so the YouTube, we're going to be uploading manually. More Protoss versus Protoss action. Here in the
You are watching FSL.
Alright, GLHFs go down, and here are our players. In the lower right, we have our pink Protoss he is.
Little Reaper.
And he is playing for the team.
Code the boys.
His opponent, the Protoss, this time decked out in green. He is
Ad Astra.
And he's brought 1 point forward, representing
Rages Raiders.
Dastra. Well, both of them wasting no time scouting their opponent. They do not want any surprise. That last match, Dastra managed to get that observer out just in time. He lost quite a few workers, but he was still able to bring it back. Last thing you want is to hear a Dark Templar in your mineral line when you don't have, well, your robotics facility or any cannons done yet. He was able to keep his cool and really bring the game back despite continued zealot harassment. Those cannons and batteries really did pay off there. And Adastra actually gas blocking
Go ahead.
Little Reaper. It's a big investment, but boy, it can be an excellent way to throw off your opponent's early game, namely against Protoss. I don't think there's a lot of Terrans or Zerg who lose a massive number of sleep if their gas gets stolen right away, but Protoss, especially against other Protoss, really against anything, they rely pretty heavily on having that gas, and Adastra just continuing to be a non-stop nuisance here. And that lack of gas is going to make it harder to get more stalkers out as well. However, that is, like I said, a big investment. That's 175 minerals he spent. And meanwhile, Little Reaper is making sure that he's got a probe in the way over on his opponent's side. Curious what Adastra's up to. Is he looking for hidden bases, or is he planning to make a proxy over there? Another thing I should note here, while that Stalker is attacking that pylon, that Stalker cannot attack the Assimilator, so there's a lot of cleaning up that he has to do. Little Reaper did put down a pylon of his own. It's not going to be lasting long, though. So both of them... Oh, wow. Cybernetics Core as well. It's mineral only, so why not? But both of them are going to have to deal with adjusting their build orders to these early delays. Adastra, a little bit more prepared to clean up, though. Both players have a Nexus in their natural. Little Reaper still needs to take out that Assimilator, though. Otherwise, this match is going to kind of normalize. They're both going Robo, with Adastra also adding a Twilight Castle. Blue-Stated Phoenix, I think, went out to scout, but then got F2'd back by accident. Adastra, like he was trying for last game, he wants to try for a proxy warping. He has the pylon a little bit further off the beaten path, so it's further away from his target, but a lot harder for his opponent to find. And Little Reaper, I wonder if he's going to just strictly be going all out with charged zealots, because he has not done a single attack against that Assimilator. There we go. Now he's cleaning it up. Little Reaper has 3 warp gates, his opponent has 2. I'm expecting, if he's planning to do all this proxy work, that Adastra's will be doing a gateway explosion any moment now. Granted, pylons that are out on the map, they also serve the function of just knowing your opponent's movements and delaying them a little bit, but I don't think he's too worried about Little Reaper taking that route.
Wait a minute.
Charge halfway complete for Adastra. I think he is ready to go on the offensive. Little Reaper actually really banking up a lot of minerals, so he could afford to make quite a few gateways and then a whole lot of zealots. He is almost complete with charge. His opponent moving forward. Their army supply is very similar right now. but Little Reaper is certainly with an edge when it comes to workers. So far, I have not seen anything warped in over at that pylon. Destra does prevent Little Reaper from expanding. Little Reaper is getting ready to head out. Destra just comfortable enough taking his third. Oh, look at those force fields, keeping the Immortal back. Now they're going around. Little Reaper electing to make the most Guardian Shield. It is down now.
Oh, shit. What am I doing?
Now, the Immortal is the real linchpin here. It does the most damage.
Second.
And it can
Okay.
absorb with that barrier, but I think that Immortal is just about to die. That is a very valuable unit to lose. Still, shield battery, moving things in. Adastra is adding a warp gate over by that pylon so he can get fast warp-ins. And Adastra has been doing his homework. He knows that if he does put that observer into the... what do you call it? It doesn't show here, but the stationary mode, that it's going to be revealed. Of course, that does mean anytime you F2 with your army, the observers can be going wherever your army does, so... It's a bit tricky. You gotta remember that stuff and take it all into account. But yes, if the observer goes stationary these days, it loses its cloak, although it does gain a whole lot more vision. And here comes a warp prism. Adastra looking to get some units right into his opponent's base. Both of them working on saturating their thirds. I should say, Adastra well ahead with the upgrades. He has +1 attack and is researching +1 armor. And Little Reaper is going to see this proxy. Is he going to stop or just stick to his guns and move ahead? Looks like he still has a plan. Here comes Dastra's warp prisms. Currently, we're 6 to 8 as far as the warp gate count goes. And Little Reaper does depower. Depowers that pylon. Here we go. Zealots being warped in. Quite a few stalkers there to greet him. They immediately target down the warp prism. Meanwhile, it's Zealots versus Zealot action over on Adastra's side of the map. There is a lot going on here, and it is very heavily Zealot-based. Adastra moving Zealots into his opponent's third. And Little Reaper warping into depths, or just dropping them. They were already warped in. Okay, here's the warp in. The Zealots. So we are having a lot of destruction being done on both sides of the maps. He wants to depower things, but those pylons are doubled up, as they say, with a tasteless pylon. He decides to stop focusing it down and start fighting the Zealots. Alright, robotics facility is depowered, and there are more charge lots on the way. SimCity figuring in very heavily here, really limiting which units can attack when. He does have some sentries with their tickle beams, but not a lot of energy for any of them. They could, yeah, they did force field. Right now, Little Reaper moving further ahead on the army supply. He just keeps warping guys in. There are Archons here, but those Archons are not going to be able to squeeze through those buildings very easily. There we go. And as needed, Little Reaper can pick up and drop guys. Alright. Looks like Adastra does get the cleanup, but meanwhile, Little Reaper just moving stalkers straight past the natural and blocking the ramp right there. The warp prism does escape. Right now, army supply evening out, but Adastra managing to maintain a worker lead. Oh, and that Archon is doing quite a bit of damage while the Zealots are absorbing their fire. However, Little Reaper warping even more in, forcing Adastra to keep cleaning up. But that Archon, in the end, will stand tall. Still got 274 shields and rapidly recovering them as well. Destro, well, he does have a little bit more workers. He has his natural currently oversaturated. Only now, switching workers over, getting the probes to where they can do the best. And huge gateway explosion. Adastra making 6 more gateways that will soon be warp gates. That gateway that's out on the map, unpowered. Adastra warping in and warping in. Currently 50 army supply to 31. Little Reaper getting Archons going himself. And this is interesting. Adastra is actually adding a Stargate to the mix. I should mention again, he has the upgrade lead, +1 attack, +1 armor for his gateway units, and he just keeps on adding those charge lots. Also looking at repowering that warp gate, Little Reaper doesn't want any of that. Doesn't waste any time back there. And here we go. A lot of zealots all over the place. But Adastra having quite a few more, up to 82 army supply versus 35. Little Reaper just waiting to see what happens. He's got the watchtower. We'll see whether this game goes long enough where someone decides to collapse anything on there. And Little Reaper only now adding a forge. There we go. Even more zealots warped in. Just forcing more and more defensive warp-ins from Adastra, but Adastra does have quite a bit of warp-ins to spare. He is moving forward. And I believe the purpose of the Stargate here is just to have a Phoenix that can eliminate that ever-annoying warp prism. Twice the army supply for Adastra. Little Reaper needs to get some production going. Both of them with quite a bit in the bank right now, but what are we up to here? We are at 39 zealots for Adastra, and those are 2-1 zealots. Archons do pretty well against zealots. It's all about the damage here. They get a bonus against bio, but will they last long to get enough of their licks in? More and more Archons are going down. They are not a very mobile unit. And I think Adastra will be taking a second win now. That third base going down very quickly. Many workers have died as well. We're at double the supply for Adastra. Here's where you can using the terrain to his advantage, and we have the GG
Dad,
though.
Mom's there.
Adastra has brought 2 wins home.
Aegis Raider.
Alright. Congratulations to Adastra. You managed to get 2 wins on the chart for your team.
Thank you.
Both of those looked very interesting. Adastra, it looked like both times you were kind of hoping for much earlier aggression. But, Little Reaper just a little bit too good at sniffing out proxy pylons.
100%. Oh, the first game when he scouted my pylon, I couldn't proxy, so I was already behind. And I must also say his aggression is pretty good. Like he's constantly harassing, and it was a really tough game.
He's scary. He is very scary.
Very scary.
And I think you talk about scary. When those Dark Templar hit before your robotics facility was completed, must have been kind of a wing on the prayer, making sure that didn't get depowered before you got the observer out.
So it brought back some bad memories, because last time he had some DTs in my base and I didn't have any detection.
Yeah, and then game 2, I mean, both of you really working hard to trip each other up. Pylon blocks, gas steals, the whole book. So I'm guessing, like, both, Little Reaper, you and Adastra probably had to improvise a little bit to try to get something close to the builds you were planning on. And Little Reaper, I noticed you kind of left that assimilator there for a while. Was that by choice? Were you just making sure that you get your economy going and then worry about gas later? were able to handle that, and that Warp Prism in the second game, just a constant headache to the point that your opponent ended up having to make a Stargate just to get rid of it.
Yeah, I must say that was quite annoying. That was also very good, yeah.
Yeah, Habibishi is mentioning, yeah, we might still need to balance the volume out a little bit. I know that Little Reaper is sounding a little bit quiet to me. Yeah, we know that there were some sound issues, but as they say, the show must go on. Well, you know, good games to both.
Thank you.
We're going to be
Appreciate
moving
it.
ahead with Rage's Raiders 2-0 at the moment. Alright, next up, we will be doing our Code B players. We're going to be doing Lennox Magi versus Monkey Shaman. Lennox Magi will have to off-race in order to stay at the right level. Monkey Shaman. Welcome to our Code B players, Lennox Magi and Monkey Shaman.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Not bad.
Just checking here. So we're going to be playing on Pylon. Yep.
Pylon.
And yeah, there was a little bit of time off and on. But yeah, hopefully everyone's had a chance to practice up a little bit, get used to some of the changes in the patches.
Got in a few games. Still haven't played with all
Yeah.
the new stuff.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, still learning the patch, and it's the storms has been really weird just because of the timing of it. Like you don't realize how you internalize something for so long, and
When you're usually ready to kind of right-click ahead.
Yep. You're like, oh yeah, I can last one extra second. Oh no, it is a solid.
It is
4
continuing.
seconds.
And here, Monkey Shaman, I'm invited to party. Yeah, no,
Okay.
and Lennox
Join me up.
Magi, you're gonna not only be playing on a newer patch, but also off-racing.
That is correct. I played one game of Protoss against Wind Shadow this morning, and that was the last time I played Protoss was the last time I played here.
Brings back
Well.
memories, huh?
Right on.
Let's all get into lobby. Monkey Shaman still waiting?
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. We're just moving things along.
Okay.
Alright, so random versus Protoss, right?
You got it.
This could be very interesting.
All right.
Okay.
We
Well,
hope so.
I'm gonna get you into your lobby as we're gonna move things along. Get ready. Let's see. Jerseys, huh? The Size Storm jersey for last match. Yeah, I've got one of those. I should wear that again. I just like to sort of alternate between my various StarCraft T-shirts. Going for Pylon, I'm going to be very interested to see which race Monkey Shaman ends up with, and how well Lennox Magi is used to defending against them as Protoss. Alright. In the upper left, we have our purple Protoss he is.
Lennox Magi.
And he is playing for the team.
Rage's Raiders.
His opponent, Monkey Shaman, currently the random chose a green Terran for him. His
Monkey
name is
Shaman.
And he is here for
Hold the Boys.
Alright, Lennox Magi doing the standard against random, which is take the low ground wall just in case you end up against Zerg. And then modify as needed from there. He does get the scout off, and does a gas block, which, like I was saying earlier, maybe not the end of the world if you're against Terran. Meantime, he does have to get a gas off for himself. Now, just to reiterate, this is low-level play, with Lennox Magi off racing to get that lower level. And yeah, Monkey Shaman just goes ahead and takes his own gas. Meanwhile, Lennox Magi building up that wall, get another gate and a cyber core down. He does need gas for himself though, unless he's going to mine out of his opponent's base. I expect a slower pace here. Expect them to kind of feel each other out and maybe be a little bit less aggressive early on. Although, I will say, some of our Code B matches recently, we have been seeing players who had a lot more of a plan in mind. Working with their teammates, just figuring out what they need to do. And yeah, for those who are listening, let us know whether the sound is doing a little bit better. We're making adjustments as needed. The eternal battle, man versus a simulator. And here's one of the big things missing right now. Monkey Shaman has not made his command center into a orbital. And we are going with early slow zealots here. For both of them improvising as they can. And here's a big bit of improvising. Monkey Shaman is taking a hidden base at the high-yield Vespin Geyser. So he might be going with some pretty gas-heavy stuff. Maybe going straight into mech or even battle cruisers. We're gonna have to see. Orbital is being made now. So, little bit of practice. And Twilight Council is the tech path for Lennox Magi. And that's a good thing. He's got a handful of zealots out, but for them to really be useful, he's going to need charge. That hidden third almost complete right now. And yes, very much Code B shenanigans. This is like bronze through gold level. And it's fun stuff because, well, you can just see a lot more variety as we're getting into Monkey Shaman going straight into Ghost Tech. So, might be cloaking and killing some workers, or we might be going for some heavy-duty nuking. Alright. Voice is a little better, game sounds good. I guess we're just going to be going just very all-out with the charge lots. I don't see him making anything. It's no Dark Templar Shrine. That's what he's making. So between Ghosts and Dark Templar, there's going to be a lot of invisible action here. Yep. I don't know. You might be able to adjust the volume in the Twitch stream itself. See what you can do. High Yield Vespin has been taken and completely saturated, so I'm going to be very curious to see how Monkey Shaman manages to spend all this gas. He's actually got a SCV at the Watchtower on the other end of the map, too. Is he even going to take a second Rich Yield Geyser? Well, we will see. We've got Ghosts coming out. And Cloak Tech? Alright. Now remember, aside from just being very nasty in general, Ghost EMPs can also reveal Dark Templar. Not sure if Monkey Shaman is aware of that. It's an easy fact to forget, but EMP does reveal invisible units. Alright, here come the charge lots. Cloak is not done yet, and that first Ghost going down just like that. And I think Monkey Shaman just doesn't have anything to counter this. He needs to raise that supply depot like right now. And there we go. That's going to buy him a little bit of time. Remember, snipe or steady shot. There we go. There's your EMP, but yeah, steady shot also works on Zealot. They do count as bio, but that one Ghost, Its DPS isn't really going to be able to last up. That patch Ghost did get a little bit more health, but yeah, I think this is just going to fall apart right here. Those Zealots are going to be able to take out those Ghosts and Marines as they spawn. And there are almost no workers left either. Monkey Shaman down to 4 workers. SCV is just trying to team up against one Zealot. They're going to take it out, but there's more coming. And we have the GG. Lennox Magi has pulled in another point for Rage's Raiders.
Rage's Raiders.
A very unusual map there. Monkey Shaman was going for a very tech-heavy build, and those just do not last well against early aggression. Next map will be Maganatha. Oops. Make referee. Alright, again, random versus Protoss. So at lower level, well, really any level, random can be a little bit tricky to pull off. You gotta have some pretty clear builds to use in each matchup.
You are watching.
Non-matchups, you have to have right. Alright, in the upper left, we have again our purple Protoss. He is
Lennox Magi.
and he is playing for the team of
Rage's Raiders.
his opponent in the green, again drawing Terran. He is
Monkey Shaman.
and he is representing the team.
Pulled the boys.
Again, Lennox Magi doing what's advised, just walling off the natural. The anti-Zerg build being the one that's considered easiest to adjust against others. In other words, you just don't want to risk losing that natural or the pylons there if you're up against Zerg. And Lennox Magi, taking a note from the previous matches, he is putting a pylon in the way. Again, not something that's really as useful against Terran, because you can just put a command center there a little bit out of position, and then lift it up and move it once that pylon's gone. I'd like to know what he is planning to do here. There are gold expansions here, but in order to get them, you need to collapse debris onto that watchtower, then clear the debris afterwards. Usually with units that have a bit of bonus damage against armored. And now we're just getting the second barracks down. So I'm very curious what the plan is here. It doesn't seem like he wants to go with even more ghosts, but yeah, sometimes he can double down. Being able to properly wall and defend can be especially important if we're going to be dealing with Mass Zealot again, and Lennox Magi is starting with a Zealot. Uproot and root to hatcheries and blink to Nexi. Hey, I'm all for that. Have you ever played Warcraft 3? I love walling off as Night Elves. Their structures not only can, most of them get up and walk, but can also attack. So you can even have them help you against when you're creeping. Kronos, no gas, no cyber, as it should be. Cybernetics core is on the way. And we do have the gases saturated. Yeah. So, it's tricky. Against a slow Zealot, a Reaper can just kind of kite forever, but while you're doing that, you're really limited on what else you can do. Makes it really difficult to do any macro. In a moment, however, that Reaper will start recovering health. There you go. The drugs kick in, and he has to make himself scarce again. And there's another Reaper on the way to join, so... Right now, there just aren't a lot of high health units to counter those Zealots. I mean, they can... Against slow Zealots, they can just keep kiting. Twilight Council is on the way, so I do not think Lennox Magi is going to be mixing up his strategies here. Now, if the Zealots on the other side of a structure, well, obviously the Marines do a bit better there. And Lennox Magi is deciding to just go back, head back to base, double forward, so he is going to be going crazy with the upgrades. Monkey Shaman being very cautious. It looks like he's planning to land his command center pretty far away. Maybe not even the third, I think. Kind of way up in the fourth? And that Reaper, well, it survived the Zealot attack, so now it's making itself nice and annoying. Charge and +1 attack are on the way for Protoss, and we are going with Hellions. Not necessarily a bad answer if you're up against a lot of Zealots. Now over here, where the command center's landing, it took it a while to get there, and it's gonna be hard to saturate, hard to transfer workers or send them from the other command center. Lennox Magi just warping in more and more. And doing the double upgrading. He is on his way to +1/+1. And that pylon still not eliminated. I think Monkey Shaman is just playing it very, very safe after what happened last match. Honestly, I don't think there'd be much loss in just taking that out. If your opponent attacks, just back up. And there we go. We are having a slow warp-in Stalker. And some friends working their way across the map. There we go. Now remember, it does not have a warp gate next to it, so these warp-ins, yep, slow, which gives a lot more opportunity to take them out or take the pylon out before it's done. No upgrades on those Marines. They don't have Stimpak or combat shields. And the Hellions, well, they're going to do a lot better against those Zealots than they will be able to do against the Stalkers. Lennox Magi with a bit more supply there. In fact, the Zealots going down fairly quickly. You're going to want to make sure that that fire is hitting the lighter units. And I think he's broken through. He's got nothing but Marines and SCVs to defend with, and more units are coming through. The SCV is not actually attacking. With them by nature, they don't attack on their own, so a bunch of them just stuck sitting there. Now they're on the attack again, but it's going to be a little bit too late here, I'm afraid. We're down to 17 supply for Monkey Shaman. That is going to put 4 wins on the scoreboard for Rage's Raiders. GG!
Rage's Raiders.
Alright, welcome back. Rage's Raiders has a couple more wins on the board here. We were, yeah, definitely, unique matches there. One thing I just kind of wanted to bring up, the gas steals, not as useful against Zerg or Terran. Also, like, if you pylon block a Terran, best thing for the Terran to do, just build your command center right next to it, eliminate it, then lift up and put it right down again.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's tricky in the heat of battle, and that's one of the things. Like, you gotta make the mistakes to learn from them.
I just watched the last game, the S tier game, and I was like, those are some fun moves. I'm gonna do that.
Whether it's useful or not, it is always annoying. So I will very much grant you that. And as far as Monkey Shaman goes, the Hellions, good call. You know, if you want to go up against the Zealots, I just think overall, you know, maybe get one or two of them out, but you always want a siege tank in the mix too. So, and it's just a little bit of advice there, but in the end, yeah, the gateway pushes just eventually overwhelmed. One thing I am interested in to hear though, Monkey Shaman, what was the long-term plan with the ghosts? Were you going to be nuking?
Please.
Were you going to be dropping a lot of EMPs? Or you're Monkey Shaman, you're muted.
Yeah, that was muted. Yeah, I'd love to know as well, because those were some really interesting. I saw the ghost. I'm like, oh no, where's this going?
What you didn't see was he almost immediately took a rich Vespin geyser too, and he was mining it fully.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Can you guys hear me
How
now?
about now?
Yes,
Yeah,
we can hear
I
you now.
muted you
Okay.
and unmuted you.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really played with the new ghosts at all, but I saw that they got a little hit point buff. So I thought, okay, if I can get some of those up with EMPs, then I could do well against like the zealots and things like that. You know, with something like, you know, Marine Ghost and you know, maybe do some cool harass or some nukes or things like that later. But I didn't really have a good like tight build, and I had problems just like with the early defense. Second game I thought was going better, but like I didn't do stuff like repair that depot in time, so then they got in and I didn't get a tank out like you said in time, like I was building it too late. So yeah.
One of the big changes that people forget, you can repair it instantly and like I think quadruple its health by dropping a supply depot top on it from the command center. Doesn't come into play often, but when it does, you always look clever. It's like, but yeah, I liked that a lot. It was I wasn't expecting any of the games today to go straight to the rich Vespin geysers, so a little bit more time. There was a lot that could be done. The ghosts also with the recent changes, they're cheap. They cost less supply again too, just two.
Mm-hmm.
And the big drawback is just they count as lights, so they take extra damage from Banelings and Colossus if it gets there. So, yeah, I love playing with new toys.
Me too.
Okay, well,
yeah,
nice games. Yeah, no, thank you.
Moving on to Code A, but, yeah, very good showings, and we will see you soon.
All right, later.
So next up is Code A. Those are our kind of middle level players. Mostly around Platinum or Diamond. So, or, yeah, very low Diamond anyway. Looks like it's going to be Sloth versus Von Lipwig.
Well, let's confirm with Revenant Rage. I don't think I see Slot on the video. Let's add him to this channel. Maybe chat with him.
Looks like we're waiting on Sloth, so we're actually going to be doing 2v2. That's going to be Revenant Rage and Nucleo against Little Reaper and Chienpone.
Hello.
Hey. Welcome back, Little Reaper.
Yep.
We've got Chienpone on your team. We'll be going against Revenant Rage and Nucleo. Have you heard from Sloth at all?
He said he should be on around 11:30. I told him if not, we'll sub him out in case.
Okay.
Yeah, Wind Shadow's available, right? And
So I
Nucleo.
figured we'd delay his match, give him a fair chance. If not, he can always play next time.
Sure thing. And the chat says we're getting a little bit of feedback, a little bit of an echo. All right, let's get everyone on camera too. We still need Chinpone and Revenant Rage.
Right, give me one
For
sec.
the party.
Either I'm dumb. Well,
Alright. I know that with Rage's Raiders, you had to... It was a little bit up in the air who'd be playing the team games. But, yeah, if you get just one more map, you get the win over the top-rated team.
Yep.
Exciting.
And then we also have Code A as well. We're going to be doing that whether we have to or not. We're going to do all the games, aside from ace matches only if we need to. And let's see, Chianpone still need you on camera. Von Lipweg need you in the party. In-game. It'll be Emerald City.
So
I invite an extra person.
yeah, it'd be Mon Lipvig.
Okay. Alright, that should do it. Why is Lipwig? You know, because he's a cool guy. Alright, so this is going to be Revenant Rage and Nucleo for Rage's Raiders team, and Little Reaper and Chianpone for Pull the Boys. We can get into it. Just... Okay, good. Anyway, anything to say before we get into lobby?
Check the Discord, real quick. Dark Menace had
Volume or...
sent something.
Okay.
Okay, never mind. We're all good.
Okay. Alright, we'll move
He
ahead.
said,
Go ahead.
"Oh, we can't go because of Tianpon," and it's like he's sitting here in the lobby.
Seeing is believing, man. Seeing is believing. Alright, I'm gonna get you into your team lobbies now. Looks like Chianpone is muted, though.
that's true. Yes, that was muted.
GLHF, guys.
GLHF.
Alright, Pull the Boys is going to be represented by a very young team. Little Reaper. Alright. And then Revenant Rage and Nucleo. Okay. We're all ready, so we are going to be getting into 2v2, and yes, definitely enjoy this. Now, we don't really have as strict rules as far as how people measure up MMR, but we found in a lot of cases there's a lot of people who are a lot better in 2v2 than 1-on-1. There's a lot of understanding you have to have of the matchup. Keeping your armies together, when to hit different places, how to handle the expansions, how not to spread creep when your opponent has different ammo. So it's a different animal sometimes. In the lower right, we have the light blue Protoss. He is
Chianpone.
Donut Emote. His teammates, who just left that donut emote, we have an orange Protoss. He is
Little Reaper.
and they are playing for the team of
Pulled the Boys.
our first Zerg of the day. He is wearing purple. He is
Nucleo.
and his teammate, the Protoss player. He is
Revenant Rage.
and they represent the team.
Rage's Raiders.
Chienpone making sure to get the scout in. Rage's Raiders are walling off kind of more of the main ramp, while their opponents trying to block off at least one entrance of the natural. There's a couple different entrances into the natural on this map, both of them partially blocked by destructible rocks. So the idea is usually you want to have both of them sufficiently blocked, and then eventually, if necessary, you destroy the rocks to get more of your army out. But I'm excited on this. Nucleo is a very good Zerg player, and as I said, we haven't had a lot of Zerg yet today. Code-esque player going to show us how it's done. Cybernetic core is gradually completing. A lot of Protoss to go around in this match. And of course, the Zerg player, yeah. You gotta keep all the regular things in mind, but you also have to be very careful not to put creep where your teammate wants to expand or put their buildings down. Revenant Rage going straight into Twilight Council, as is Little Reaper. Now Chienpone just putting a couple of depths out, not really attacking yet. Nucleo's sending some Zerglings over. And as I said, it's more than one entrance to the base. Hopefully they're keeping that in mind. Adepts should do pretty well against Zerglings, especially if they can squeeze in between a couple of structures. And there we go. I think the Zerglings are going to be driven off pretty quickly, shading after them, seeing if they can get hunted down. 3 of the 4 of them escape. I think they want to see what else they can do with those depths. Charge a third of the way done for Revenant Rage. And link speed just about to complete for Nucleo. There are more Zerglings on the way. There we go. Queen's helping out the Zerglings. And in the end, well, oh wow. I didn't even see that shade go in, but that Adept does not survive very long. And Chienpone's Adepts choose to head back home. Aside from that, you know, just a little bit of poking, a little bit of potential harassing, but not much getting done so far, so everyone pretty much on task. Little Reaper getting his Warp Prism ready. Charge almost finished, so I would expect to see a lot of Zealots coming up from Revenant Rage as well. And yeah, there goes that Cloverleaf. 4 gateways about to complete from Little Reaper. And we're almost ready for Roaches from Nucleo. Meanwhile, Revenant Rage, yep, these Zerglings are going to see if they can... Yeah, with that shield battery and those Adepts, not much they can do. One more Zerglin killer for good measure. Now the important thing is that Rage's Raiders team did see that Warp Prism heading out. I think Glaives just kind of got cancelled. I don't think that was actually what they were after. Lair attack almost ready. And let's see what this Warp Prism can get done. Revenant Rage already kind of smells it. Alright, attempts to target down the Warp Prism, only shield damage, and Nucleo Zerglin going for the surround on the Adepts. The Adepts do complete the shade. And they're seeing if they can get some work kills done, but those queens are right there. So far, Nucleo's Zerglings haven't really gotten a lot done. He is making sure that they're right there to prevent an expansion as it starts to get built. Here we go. Zealot versus Zergling. The classic Z conflict. The Little Reaper almost has his Twilight Council done. What I find very interesting here, there's just been a lot of attempts to do damage, but very little actual worker kills. Very few. And yes, this is going to be the only 2v2 game. They're going to do 2 maps. And after this, we will be moving on to our middle range players in Code A. I saw Dark Templar Shrine get started, but then get cancelled again. The upgrades, just same thing, warp gate charge, and they keep kind of tinkering with wanting to do blink. There's been a lot of players second guessing themselves here. I've seen a lot, both with structures and with upgrades, just kind of get started and then get cancelled. Yep, Little Reaper getting things ready as Nucleo has a hatchery at the gold. That's going to be very vulnerable, very hard to defend. 5 queens moving in, but they end up having to back off. Zerglings attempting to warp to change into Banelands, but it doesn't happen. And here they go, slow Banelands against fast Zealots, though. And I think this hatchery is about to get finished off. Even more Zealots being warped in. Always a little bit tricky to tell the difference between Archons, but I only see 2 of them left for Little Reaper. However, with some good blink micro, those Stalkers are just sticking around. Eventually the Queens end up having to fall back. And that Warp Prism is still right there, ready to warp more in. Qianpone has +1 attack. And Nucleo is now supply blocked. That's not where he wants to be right now. 5 Overlords on the way. He has to really try to get this surround well. He does have the Roaches backing things up, along with the Queens, and his teammate Revenant Rage is moving in. Little Reaper just maximizing as much damage as he can, while gradually blinking his damaged Stalkers away. And then here's Qianpone, trying to sneak some Zealots in, but those Roaches manage to drive him off pretty quickly. Just a whole lot of gateway units on both sides. Meanwhile, taking on Roach Sling. Never ceases to amaze me how much you can exploit that little bridge, trying to stand on the other side of it and get your opponent's units to sort of automatically try to path through. Revenant Rage recalls. Meanwhile, Nucleo just making use of that creep highway to get his units back. Now, despite all the damage that Pull the Boys team has been doing, they are really far behind in supply. 60 and 95 supply against 115 and 119. Is 66 and 50 to 28 and 41. Qianpone just doesn't have a lot of workers, despite not taking a lot of harassment damage. And there we go, that bridge. You end up having to just sort of manually try to get your units to avoid it. Right now, Qianpone does not have anything in production. Little Reaper adding more gateways. Revenant Rage just keeping the upgrades coming. He already has +1 attack, +1 shields, and he is getting +2 on both of those. Colossus Tech being prepared for Revenant Rage. 2 of them in production. It's getting to where they not only have a supply lead, but they're also gradually building up a big tech lead too. These queens, I don't know if this is intentional, they're kind of out and about here, way off the creek. They can't move quickly, they can't transfuse. Yeah, we need to spread some creep over there, or we need a normal Overlord to drop some creep. Overseers lose that ability. Here we go. The army is not really together. That's a big issue here for Rage's Raiders. But they're just continuing their lead. And over here, Zealots destroying the spawning pool. Little Reaper making sure to stay as annoying as possible with that Warp Prism. I think they're actually going to be able to take down the lair, maybe? They do! So that means there's a lot of stuff that Nucleo's going to have to build again. He's not going to be able to build Spine Crawlers or Zerglings without the spawning pool, or upgrade a hatchery to a lair until that spawning pool's done to replace the lair that he just lost. Still, he's got a decent army here. Not to mention that gold base. Alright, doing what he can to take advantage of the choke point there. The Stalkers are able to use Blink to keep them getting in each other's way. And here come Revenant Rage. He is doing a bunch of attacks to the high ground and just picking off retreating units as Nucleo continues to move in. Nucleo, I mean, that spawning pool still only a little ways. Fortunately, he can keep making roaches. Yeah, big thing there. You spend your Banelings when they attack, and he cannot make the Zerglings to replace any of them. Roach Ravager here, but just look at Revenant Rage sort of circling around from behind, but they're getting kind of clustered up, just attacking pylons at the moment. Still, Nucleo very much holding his own. And right now, Revenant Rage has more supply than both his opponents put together. Nucleo supply not too shabby either. Alright, he's got his spawning pool done. He can make more Zerglings. He still needs to replace that lair. In the end, it might not even matter. He might not even need that lair tuck. And look at that. Revenant Rage, pretty far along with +1 attack, +1 shields. Alright, lair has started morphing. Little Reaper is still with a decent army, but Chienpone just falling further behind. He is down to 35. They're making the most use they can of that choke, but no, they have to GG. Rage of Raiders have taken the series. We're going to do the second 2v2 match, and we are still going to do the Code A. But Rage's Raiders they've gotten their second win. As Golden Boys and the Raiders gotten their second loss. Next map will be Crimson Research Lab. I think Pull the Boys, they focused really heavily on offense. I think they just kind of kept slipping further behind as they were doing that. They definitely got damage done, including taking out that hatchery at the Golds. But as far as economy goes, they just weren't able to keep up. Here, KJ, I'm going to invite you to lobby again. More 2v2 combat coming right up. again, that last match, just very much something where neither team was really able to break the other early on. In the end, Pull the Boys just invested a lot more into it without getting the results. And definitely thumbs up to all the teching and macro that Revenant Rage was doing. That really made up for that layer and spawning pool getting sniped. So they did some really good teamwork there. Chi and Pone currently doing random. That's interesting.
You are watching.
In the upper left, we have the pink Zerg. He is
Nuclear.
and his teammates, the Protoss, adorned in orange. He is
Will Reaper.
together. They are
Pulled the Boys.
their opponents. First, the Red Zerg. He is
Nuclear.
and his teammates, the Light Blue Terran. He is
Revenant Rage.
and they are the team of
Rage's Raiders.
I actually can't remember whether Revenant Rage chose random or chose Terran, but either way, this is going to be a very different game. We have Protoss Zerg versus Terran Zerg. That is a lot more Zerg and a whole lot more Terran. I'm wondering if Revenant Rage has a specific plan here. He doesn't play Terran all that often. So if there's a specific plan that they have, and yep, we got Zerg. They get to exploit each other's creep and such. And Chi and Pone heading out across the map with some Zerglings right now. Better than two Zergs in one team? Yeah, sometimes that's the case, and boy, Brood War, that was a classic dilemma. But yeah, look at Little Reaper. He wants to end this fast. Not only a nexus, not only a gateway at that pylon, but a shield battery as well. So they want to play for keeps, and I guess even, I don't know. I don't know if they want to fall back to that shield battery or if it's just there to protect the pylon. Alright, Shinpon Zerglings get a little bit outnumbered there, but he has plenty more on the way.
Your allies are in battle.
Right now, both sides have 6 Zerglings. And that Reaper's gonna notice there's not a lot of workers there. We're gonna see the engagements here. A lot of this is gonna come down to all the armies hitting at once. But Nucleo Zerglings kinda got lured out before there was anything to back it up. Very good job just getting the Queen into that pocket between the geyser and the minerals, but it does go down. Here's where things are going to get really interesting, because we have a lot of Zerglings charging right into the enemy base, and they do speed up on enemy creep as well. There's no such thing as your own creep or someone else's, only your own buildings and tumors. Go right now. I mean, Revenant Rage. I think he's going for Banshees. No battle cruisers, but those battle cruisers are not going to be ready for a little while yet. Let's put down a bunker. And yes, again, ironically, it has pulled the boys' opponents that actually pull the boys. Alright, time to get those SCVs out of the way so the Zerglings can get their surrounds in. However, yeah, those stalkers just blocking off that opening. Right now Nucleo actually has a supply lead all around, but that can change any moment. Okay. Fusion core is completed. There are battle cruisers in production. It's going to be a matter of how much damage Pull the Boys can do before a battle cruiser or two can get out. Chienpone says, we weren't trying. Oh. Apathy is your own worst enemy, man. Alright. Yes, the cleanup is complete. And once they no longer feel they're under threat... Or, wait, did the battlecruiser get cancelled? I'm telling you, there are a lot of cancellations going on in these two matches. Okay, now he's making two of them. I don't know. This is a tricky one to call, but I will definitely say that the team of Pull the Boys invested a lot into that aggression and didn't benefit from it nearly as much as they want. And when battle cruisers are done, they can help with the defense, and as soon as they're done, just jump across the entire map and start really punishing the enemy. Nucleo, morphing Banelands, oh, there we go. That was a lot of Zerglin kills. Even got a spine crawler he's fallen back on. Does manage to transfuse just in time to avoid losing the queen. Battle cruisers inching closer and closer to the captain, saying, battle cruiser, operation. Yeah, bunker there too. There's just so much damage that these units are taking as they're on their way. Alright, SCVs getting turned on the offensive again, and here are the battle cruisers. We're getting to full capital ship combat. They are roaming around, eliminate as much as they can. And remember, they can fire while moving. So their defensive opportunities are very good, and there goes the tactical jump. Alright, right into Chienpone's base. Focusing down a queen immediately. And then, yeah, that spore crawler was not going to last long. Right now, Revenant Rage does not have a lot of supply. Almost everything he does have is tied up in those two battle cruisers. The battle cruisers can be very difficult to catch. There he is, using his opponent's own structures against him. And Little Reaper, boy, did he get a lot of worker kills with those adepts. And he's not done yet. This is, oh man, Chienpone. Ton of Zerglings coming in there. He has 33 Zerglings. And at this point, yeah, look at those repair mules. This is a very, very odd base trade. I will say, Nucleo, he's the healthiest of any player, and those Banelings, well, they can do alright for themselves against Adepts, although he does not notice that his teammate still has a couple... Yeah, there we go. Alright. And at this point, there isn't even really anything... Okay. I was just going to say, those mules don't have anything to repair, but those two stalkers did manage to get a couple hits in. And, yeah, this is the GG here. There's just no further answer. Alright. Battle cruisers to the win.
Rage's Raiders.
Alright. Well, Rage's Raiders, you have defied the odds and managed to take, so far, a clean sweep. Not just winning the game, so... Yeah, congratulations. You guys been working out?
Yeah, you know, I've been hitting the gym, you know.
Uh-huh.
I can lift about, like, 2 Ultralisks, one on each end.
Oh man, that's more than an Overlord can carry. Alright, well those were very interesting matches. The first one, I think my way to sum it up is just that both sides were pretty aggressive. Neither one really got a lot done, but basically, Rage's Raiders, you guys just kind of kept the macro going a lot more efficiently. Second match, I don't know, my brain's still hurting. That was a very dedicated all-in. and Rage's Raiders, you were able to survive it. Granted, with Revenant Rage not having a single SCV left, but you were able to defend, and then boy, 2 cattle bruisers, and those are mobile guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a cheeky game all around from Revenant Rage's part and Pull the Boys' part.
Yeah, and I mean, battle cruisers got delayed, but they got there. They got there, and that was one of the weirdest base trades I think I've seen. But Nucleo, you were able to hold on, and I just want to say, Little Reaper, you and your warpins, that first game, just managing to snipe not only the spawning pool but the lair, and the lovely thing about replacing the lair is you need a spawning pool to do that. So you're scary, man. You don't need a costume for Halloween. Just walk around showing people your replays, okay?
Yeah, that was a really good snipe, Little Reaper. I also forgot to build the spawning pool for a pretty long time, so I was lairless. They just kept churning roaches.
Well, roaches, they say they don't scale, but if you're ahead enough in supply, which you were, and yeah, that gold base, you lost it once, but you got it back.
True.
Is it alright if we take a short break? Sloth said he'll be here in less than 10 minutes, so he's pretty
Give it to a
eager
sloth to
play.
be late.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. I can grab a snack if we can throw some videos ahead for entertainment during intermission. But then, we've got some time we can spare, but we are putting limits on that. So if he's not here within the next, let's say, 10 minutes, then we might have to line up someone else, or just surrender as far as the Code A matches go. Okay.
It looks like Sloth is in the
Huh.
voice channel. Is he
Okay,
not
let's-
actually online? No, like maybe
Here,
he's on.
I don't know. Let's see. He wasn't there a minute ago.
I'm
Not
here.
slothing
I'm
around.
here.
All right.
All
There we
right,
go.
hooray! We
I
were
gotta boot up
just,
StarCraft. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. You booted up Discord anyway. We're gonna let the team players go.
GG's, guys.
Yeah, GG's.
Yeah, looks good. Oh man. Not only is he not slothing around, he's not slothing around on his side. Well, welcome back. Not slothing around is the most recent person we've added to FSL. There were a couple other people in the line, but then they said someone else beat me to them. So I don't know what happened there, but all right. So in-game inviting you to the party. First map is going to be Takamak.
All right. Any interviews for these guys?
Not slothing around, has rotated himself 90 degrees.
Sorry.
Von Lipvig, were you ready for that? I mean, did you expect that when you were practicing for this match?
No.
Yep, he'll get you, man. Not slothing around, by the way. We were initially going to put him in Code B, but then he ran over a bunch of us when we were doing practice matches. So more than meets the eye, no matter what. Yeah, go ahead and accept the invitation in game. We're gonna try to just get this moving and get into the Code A match. This will figure into total wins for the teams, but in the end, the match is in favor of Rage's Raiders. anyone who's been admiring my Carbot Marines, check out their YouTube station. They are actually going to be doing another Blizzard, what do you call them, stuffies, plushies. And they're holding votes on which one. I believe the Ultralisk and the Diablo Barbarian are way in the lead right now. So, definitely interested in them. I ended up having to decide against investing in the miniatures for StarCraft. Just, that stuff adds up, and I'm not really a painter, and I do not know a lot of people to play, tabletop StarCraft stuff in person. In fact, my StarCraft themed version of Risk still in its wrap, still mint. And I know people who like Risk. They just, it's like they don't want to check out the little variations. Do I have the Battlecruiser one from Blizzard, the big one? Are you talking about the Dark Horse Direct one? I definitely have that, along with the big carrier and the big Broodlord. So, yeah, I'd like to show those off. All right, in the lower left, we have our purple Terran. He is
not slopping around.
And he is playing for the team of
Rage's Raiders.
His opponent, the Zerg in the red, doing the extractor trick. He is
Von Lipwig.
And he is a member of
Pulled the Boys.
But yes, those Dark Horse Directs, big capital ship replicas, those were very expensive. My budget was a little less tight at the time. I'm very proud of them. Unfortunately, they honestly do not look very good behind someone on stream. Maybe if I had the webcam tilted an angle, and I had them maybe at my level, I don't know. I'm going to play around with that, but yeah. I've got all the Carbot plushies. The Marines... Oh, the score? The score is 6-0, I'm afraid. So, each matchup, they play twice. There's a total... there's 3 1v1s and there's a 2v2, 2 matches each. So this is a big chance for Von Lipwig to try to at least get a couple on there, even though Rage's Raiders... Well, we'll see if it's a sweep. Rage's Raiders have won all the matches so far, so they've definitely won the series. But it helps for the statistics and for pride to at least try to get some wins on the board. And Von Lipwig is he's pretty good as far as there goes. These, again, Code Ace, or more middle-level players. You're going to see them... They know what they're doing. Execution is probably something they're still going to be working on. And that could differ a bit. We definitely have had a good number of... Yeah, there are stats as far as wins and losses, and there are sort of statistics that people have voted on. And viewers can even vote on, too. If you're not part of the FSL, you can vote worth half a point. KJ, if you get the chance, just go ahead and post the link there. And yes, AI at work. My workplace, actually, has been insisting we use AI a little bit more and report how we used it. So, make sure they know they got their money's worth. But yes, Matheson is our bot, and he's got personality. Alright. Starport is in production, and... Yeah, we already have another command center being built on the high ground here. So, not slothing around, is going for a more macro-oriented game, I'd assume. Von Lipwig, meanwhile, just building up, but very delayed on his third. I don't know exactly how. I don't know how Matheson works, but I'm sure KJ can share some of the proud moments there soon. But he's a bot, but we do have him integrated in with, I believe, with the game itself when KJ is doing the observing or playing. Alright, Hellion Liberator is going to be the approach here. So he's definitely going to try to delay Von Lipvig a bit. Try to fry some Zerglings or drones, and try to kill some workers with the Liberator somewhere else, I believe. Access to replay files. Okay, that's cool. That's actually really clever. I wouldn't have even thought about that. Like, uploading the replays. Alright. Von Lipvig taking his third at the 4.5 minute mark. He might have some catching up to do, especially with not slothing around, already having a third orbital. Not moving it on site yet, though. And despite having this, these nice mech units ready to go, he has not taken the offensive yet. I'm very curious what the plan's going to be here. There are roaches in production for Von Lipvig. Meanwhile, not slothing around's Liberator is heading out. Von Lipvig with with roaches heading over. Hellion's going down pretty easily. There's not much they can do against roaches. Armored units. What league is this? This is our Code A. So, basically, Platinum up to maybe Diamond 3 is how it usually goes. Here we go. Liberation Zone set up. Well, Von Lipvig is focused on the offensive, but he does pull the workers. And I don't know if there's a lot back home to defend against this Roach Ravager attack. There's no siege tank anyway. In fact, he doesn't even have a tech lab on his factory. Going with mines is the answer, but I think there are going to be a lot of SCVs killed here. The Liberator does go down to the Queen. And right now, Von Lipvig in a very good position. 86 supply, 246. And those mines, they can do a lot of work, but it is a lot of time between firing. No armory in play, so they are not going to be invisible. And a supply depot going down as well. The mule drop in is going to help a little bit, but Von Lipvig definitely got his damage in. He is at just about double the supply. And not slothing around, continuing to just pump out Widow Mines. I think Siege Tanks could do a bit more here, although there's a lot of speedlings going down too. He's looking at floating one of his orbitals to another location, but there is an Overlord right there to look at it. Always make a Banshee as Terran. Yeah, I prefer Banshee myself. A little bit more you can do if you need them on the defensive. Alright, immediately, the moment it lands, there is a party there to meet it. He does take that as a cue that his natural is probably open right now. He knows where his opponent's army is. Von Lipvig with so much more on the production right now. Upgrading his Hydralisks, getting Carapace. Not only that, but taking a fourth as well. And he is just basically running back and forth, making sure that his opponent cannot take another expansion. Probably also just looking for openings to see if he can hit this natural again. Von Lipvig way ahead on the worker count, 29 to 50. Okay, good. I was just going to say, I hope that doesn't hit some friendly fire, but the Hellions did take the Zerglings out before the Widow Mine went off. Liberator there too, I don't know. He is moving into siege tanks. So that's gonna do a little bit better against what I believe is gonna be a primarily Hydra Roach army. Maybe with some... And there we go. Zerglings go down pretty quickly, but here we have the Roach Ravager. There's less of an answer to that. And there is no combat shields or stim for those Marines just yet. I think in general, von Lipwig has just kept his opponent's attention the whole time. You know, making it more difficult, not only for him to take expansions or attack, but even just keeping track of what he wants to do next. There are no upgrades for those Marines. And that's the thing, attention's a resource. Make no mistake about it. That Widowmine just kind of kept chasing targets there. Here we go. We have GGWP. Von Lipwig takes one for Pull the Boys. No, this is not going to be easy.
Pull the Boys.
Bottom map will be perceptible. There will be no ace match. That matchup, von Lipwig invested a bit more into army early on. He was very late on his expansion, but he made use of that. And overall, I mean, against not slothing around, just kept his attention the whole time. Limited what he could do with his natural. And I just don't think that not slothing around really was able to adjust. He didn't really get a new game plan going. But they will be clashing again. And yes, as von Lipwig says, Pull the Boys has points on the board. I was lost saying, oh, that was a warm-up. Okay. Von Lipwig is ready. Alright, we are ready to go for our final map of the day.
You are watching FSL.
Persephone. In the upper left, we have the purple Terran. He is.
Not slopping around.
And he is playing for the team of.
Rages, Raiders.
His opponent, the red Zerg. He is.
Von Lipwig.
And he is seeing if he can put yet another point on the board for.
Pulled the Boys.
Alright, let's get to it. After this, I need to get just a little bit of grocery shopping in. And then, my daughter and I will be watching the sure-to-be Academy Award-winning Gabby's Dollhouse the movie. So, the excitement will not end today. But for the rest of you, yeah, keep watching StarCraft, keep playing. And just play Gabby's Dollhouse on Netflix in the background. How am I supposed to tell whether or not a bot is being sarcastic? Similar setup to last time. We're getting the Reaper out. Now, one of the deals is, choose your aggression against Zerg. You gotta be ready to transition to what isn't gonna work. And in that case, you know, the Hellions just kept being produced for a little bit too long. He needed something else to go, and he needed to start... If he was gonna switch into Marines, then not slothing around, needed to start getting the tech for them as well. Von Lipwig, I'm curious exactly how he's going to be handling this, namely when he's going to take his hatchery. I don't see a lot of stuff where... I don't see a lot of players who do Zerg and take their hatchery all the way past the 4-minute mark. If anything, sometimes I see people taking an additional hatchery early. Ooh, there we go. Speaking of hatcheries, that Reaper does not want to let that drone create one. Is Von Lipvig? I think Von Lipvig intends to take a gold base. Or just a hidden corner base? I'm not sure. I will say that if you go with hidden bases at Zerg, it is very hard to connect them with creep. Oh. That Reaper is just kind of standing there going, you know, I admire your gall. No creep around here to try to turn it into... Yeah, he could try to turn it into an extractor, but not anything like a spore crawler or spine crawler. So Von Lipvig actually maybe off to a more confident start right now. He has a starport, 3/4 of the way done. Starting to get the Marines out now. Okay, again it does look like he is going to be going for Hellions. Maybe more Widow Mines too later on. We're just going to have to see. And here come the Zerglings. I think he'll be more than ready for that. That's, I'm not sure if he means to queue the factory that far across the map. I think he meant that command to be the Reaper. But he's gotta notice that. Yeah, he's already bringing the Reaper back. Well, we'll see. Maybe he did mean to do that. But that does leave the natural a little defenseless. We have more Hellions on the way. But right now, it's one Marine and a bunch of workers. Get them. Yeah, there we go. The Hellions do come back. I think the Zerglings are going to get, well, we got 5 worker kills. That is not bad early on. Alright, gotta get those back, including that mule before it expires. He is going with the same thing he did previously with the Liberator, along with those Hellions. His opponent does not have a Roach Warren this time around. He's going to the Baneling Nest instead. Bunker is going down, and Von Lipvig, well, similar to last game, he is taking the hatchery a little bit later than a lot of people prefer. He is making spore crawlers. He remembers having to deal with that Liberator before. And Marines attempting to chase down that Overlord. Yeah, this is something I kind of like to do. When your opponent does get a little bit obsessed about killing an Overlord, it can be a good opportunity to pick off some stuff with Zerglings. The Overlord, however, does survive, and it's being changed into an Overseer, so it's going to get its health back. Very crafty, and we have a bunch of Banelings being morphed. Those do bonus damage against everything that Not Slothing Around has. Bonus damage against supply depots, bunkers, Reapers, Marines, and Hellions. So he's going to have to be very aware of this, and he has to be ready to reposition his units. Ooh, actually did scare them off. And there's that Overseer taking even more damage. But I don't think that's going to bother him too much. And here come a lot more Zerglings. Von Lipvig at 43 army supply, Not Slothing Around at 28. Be getting a tank out. I like siege tanks. I mean, no matter what you're up against, just being able to hit a bunch of things at once. Ooh, and he is setting up for a drop. Or not, or yes, yes, no, no, yes. And here we go. These guys are coming in well. A good number of his army are inside that medevac. The Banelings are going for the workers, and just like that, 17 SCVs die. The siege tank is still alive, although a little bit banged up. The Zerglings take out the bunker. And Von Lipvig outlasts that attack. but with a lot of workers lost. Oh, here we go. Von Lipwig is not done yet. Not slothing around. He's actually not that far behind in workers. That was a big investment that his opponent had to make in Zergland and continues to make. He is not taking his foot off the Baneling gas. He wants to see if he can get even more kills. Alright, drop is going out. That siege tank has not been repaired yet. Slothing around, actually catching up with the workers. An engineering bay is being built here. The big thing is whether enough of these Banelings are going to be able to get past and kill enough SCVs. They're not much use against siege tanks.
We hooked this out.
And did I miss what that drop did? Oh, there it is. Alright, so the medevac just took a lot of damage from the Queen. He has gotten his opponent's attention. Von Lipwig with an F2 send all the Banelings and Zerglings back. You can pick up pretty quickly and just get them out of there. Yeah, don't be a hero, guys. A lone Marine manages to survive and be evacuated into the Terran base again. Again, not slothing around with a orbital that's sticking in his base for a while. He has completed the wall. Those Banelings do bonus damage against any structures, so they can... Well, they're good at getting through at least the small ones, like the bunkers and especially the supply depots here, but in the meantime, any pickoffs that those siege tanks get are going to be very valuable. Spire is what Von Lipwig has elected to go with going forward. Not slothing around, has engineering bays. No turrets yet, though. And here we go. Alright. The Ling Bane charging into the main. They do go after some of the Marines. Okay, cleanup done. Again, massive casualties, but no workers this time. And that Overseer finally meets its maker. Big question here is how much use are those Spire units going to be to Von Lipwig? He is continuing to just make more and more Lings. And I think in the long term his economy might suffer a little bit for that. He's got his 3 bases pretty well saturated though. Look at those defensive liberators. You might be able to see those rings, but it's a question of what you do about them. Yeah, not slothing around. He has the army supply lead. Obviously, he's going to want to keep some stuff back at the base, but you might want to take advantage of his position right now. And there's the mutas. Bear in mind that flying units, when they're hurt, they can race back to that healing shrine. And mutalisks already heal faster when they're out of combat than most of their units do. Here we go. Let's see what they can do. Now, Liberators actually aren't too shabby against groups of mutalisks. They do get a bit of bonus damage against light, but they don't move very fast. Alright. Von Lipwig is kind of splitting his mutalisks up. That wasn't half bad. But yeah, you want to take advantage of the Liberator splash damage. You gotta have them grouped a little bit more together. And all these Banelings just rolling around here. They are going to clash with the army. They want to make sure that the Banelings hit the Marines, not the tanks. But actually at this point, with all the army he has, I don't know how much it matters. Those mutalisks able to finish off the Liberators and the siege tank or they're about to finish off that last siege tank. There's just not a lot of NIA here. And not slothing around, moving his units out before he's grouped them up. Another siege tank goes down, and this might be it. He just doesn't have enough army to try to defend his third, his natural, and his main all at the same time. Workers are starting to die from those mutalisks as more and more and more Lings and Banes are brought into the fight. The big thing he really needs to do, he needs to keep his anti-air together, but no, we have the GG. On the big. Brings in the final score of Rangers Raiders 6, Pulled the Boys 2. Alright, good games, everyone. We're going to be wrapping up for the day.
GG.
Yeah, but yes, Von Lipwig, you've definitely been able to keep your opponents occupied. And just doubling down more and more on that Ling Bane. Not sloughing around, you did well. I think just some unit transitions here and there.
I gotta tell you, I did not play how I usually play, so it's a little frustrating. But it doesn't mean he played bad. He played very well, so good game.
Yep. Yeah, it's all good because you'll have other opportunities too. It feels differently if it's in any kind of tournament. I've found that out whether I'm on camera or not, whether it's live or not. So sometimes it's just getting used to the atmosphere and then moving ahead. But yep, the second game, you bulked up pretty well. You were able to recover from those initial worker losses, turtle up, and just those liberators.
Every time I came in, I didn't expect you to have as much as you did.
Yep. Yeah, those liberators, they can actually do pretty well against mutalisks, but you got to have them together. Taking advantage of their splash damage.
I thought they're... Oh, do they do splash damage? I didn't even know that.
A very tiny bit, yes, when they're in non-liberated, in their standard form. And they do a little bit of bonus damage against light. Yeah, originally when those guys were brought in, they were a bit too powerful in each form, so they had to really kind of scale back their anti-air. Oh yeah, they're supposed to be kind of a spiritual successor to Valkyries. Or at least that was the original idea. I don't know. Things change. But yeah, no problem there. Thank you for coming in. I know that you had to kind of rush to your computer too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I didn't have a warm or anything. Like, I made a tech lab instead of reactor on my barracks, like the first game. Like, I don't know, it was crazy. Anyway, or reactor instead of tech lab. Did I say that? Yeah, whatever. Anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, GG's. I'm gonna go now.
All right. Yep. Good job. We will be seeing you next weekend. And then, yeah, if we could raid Bulmyoja again, he's casting a bunch of Coach League, some sort of Coach League tournament right now.
GG's.
Thank you to all our viewers. We will see you next time.
Cheesy nachos. Ages hidden. Infinite silence. Angry space bears. Cold